range of subjects, things that, trouble people in their senior years. We're focusing on seniors, super seniors, relationships between seniors and their grown children. In the same context, we've had a question about this, about a grown child returning to after a divorce as well as change of country to the parental home, and then the problems that came out of that, cohabiting after a long time. This is not exactly that, but the question, I'll read out the question. It is about the, it may be about, it is about your grown child's life choices that they make and how much a senior should get involved when those choices start turning out wrong, or not working out anymore, you know, and how much a senior is expected to and can intervene without getting themselves, the senior himself or herself, getting kind of drawn in way more than they really can cope with anymore. So let me read the question. The question is from a husband and wife, Dilnaz and Hari. They've both written it together. It says, Dear ma'am, we are 67 and 70. Our daughter, aged 37, is pursuing research in a European country for the last 4 years. She's very intelligent, but has always been disorganized. We do not like to micromanage her life, believe me, ma'am. They're emphasizing that they are not happy to hover. They're not helicopter parents or weren't helicopter. They say that we do not like to micromanage her life. However, I have had to go there and look after her. And once I had to bring her back over the last 18 months on account of her faltering health. The health issues are squarely, they write, the health issues are squarely to do with poor nutrition, not cooking or eating at home, very little fresh food or exercise, and extremely random sleeping hours. We decided to say nothing except sometimes a few gentle reminders about eating right over the phone or on video calls over the last few years. But finally, we had to intervene when she began to fall back on her research work on account of exhaustion. We had to speak some home truths to this grown daughter of ours, finally telling her bluntly that her fatigue was not so much due to the demands of her work, as she claimed, uh, and course material, but plain and simply because of her neglect of basic health protocols. Of course, this she does not take too well and never has. Don't lecture is what she says. So what do we do? Tell us. We have no rights now that she's an adult. Even if she was staying with us, we have no rights to dictate even sensible rules. And yet, when because of her habits she falls ill, we are supposed to intervene and help. We did not want to go on our own, but we offered and she accepted at that time when she fell ill. So this is an adult or a child that we are dealing with, they are asking. Please tell us what is the right stand and action that we should take. This is the parents of this 37-year-old lady, the young woman writing. So now this is, it is very difficult. So many of us have experienced similar things. It doesn't happen one fine day that you are now fussing over a grown child. It happens dekhte dekhte. In Marathi, we call it karat na karat. You're helping along, you are in a way invested in your child's work. You feel you can coach her to live a better life. And without realizing now, two things are happening, I think. One is that she is getting a sense of almost entitlement. I'm doing this great work, support me. You don't understand the challenges that I'm facing, you support me. This is one thing, the sense of entitlement. And the other thing is that the parents, though they are saying we don't want to be that kind of parent, they are enabling this more and more. They're becoming enablers. If it was an outright addiction, if the grown child had an outright addiction, the borders of this problem can be better easily drawn. It's not an addiction in that sense, but this is definitely a grown child making bad choices. It is making bad choices on simple things like your food, exercise. They talk about exercise and how this thing is, she's not accepted that this kind of very ordinary eating fresh, exercising, waking up on time will all add to her ability to perform better. Now, learning to stop enabling this kind of unhealthy behaviors, learning to stop being there for her in the way they're beginning to feel resentful about. And more importantly, it's not working. It's not working. It can be very challenging. And, for people who love and care for their child and can, to some extent, see that if I intervene, this disorganized child of mine may do better. If I finally get up and go there and spend 2 months and teach her how to cook and eat well on time. But, but you have to understand that you're enabling this, perpetuating it possibly. And here I would say that may not be intentional. I must clarify. Your enabling it may not be intentional. You want to make your child's life easier, less stressful. You have understood her certain weak aspects of her ability to live on her own, certain weak areas. But finally, what is happening is you're meeting her needs, which she needs to meet herself. You're just doing it for her. And in that way, you're enabling unintentionally, maybe, and perpetuating these choices, which give, say, for example, just simple lifestyle improvements, giving them no importance, and then parents feeling that I have to just drop my lecturing and I have to just go there and pick this person up and get her out of this current situation. But the very fact that, Hari and Dilnaz here have written in about this, it means it's becoming an extreme, it's a pattern. It's not a one-off thing. It's turning into a pattern where they are now tired of trying to help her to, live a more balanced work life, all that existence, health, physical health, mental well-being, hard work, that whole balance. Um, I would say that one very important thing is to now for them to take a very good hard look at how much as parents they are invested in her outcomes, in her work. If they have bought into this thing that she's brilliant, her work is very demanding, and every time it comes up where they have to kind of put a safety net behind her, they do it because they feel otherwise she'll crash. And that we as parents as seniors have to examine whether you have to develop the nerve to then say that, no, I am not doing this research. It's not me. I have not committed to do this PhD or whatever it is she's doing. If my daughter crashes, it will be very bad, but this is not my investment. I am now investing in this at the cost of my own well-being. For that, I feel that, see, some people feel that you sit down and you say to this grown child, I can't do this. I will not do it again. This is the last time I'm doing it. After this, won't bail you out. I personally feel that one has to be more, it's very difficult to give these kind of, when she's already down, to then stand over her and say, this is the last time I'm bailing you. It's difficult to talk like that. And it may be, I feel, quite counterproductive because the whole thing gets hijacked into almost a parent-child tantrum going back 25 years. It's not two adults talking anymore if you start giving ultimatums. But in your mind, now this distinction I'm making, possibly in their minds, they must have some boundaries, some ultimatums about what they will and will not do from the next time onwards. Without, I feel it doesn't have to be spelt out to their daughter, which means changing their own enabling behaviors. It's very easy not easy, but it's very, what should one say? Obvious. It seems obvious. No, no, just give the support just now. Then let's see about the long-term impact of this. But to me, it seems from this question that they have gone over it quite a bit. And the child has almost, this grown child has almost outsourced, whether it is cooking a meal or doing your laundry or getting your car repaired or going out and getting fresh air so that you can work hard. Feel she's kind of, we know many young people like this who feel, when I'm done with this, then I'll do all that. While the older people keep saying, you will be able to achieve simple goals if some of these protocols of living a healthy life are followed. It goes round and round, and then finally it is the parents who are worrying. Have you eaten your FaceTiming or whatever the devices are now? And asking, "Khana kya khaya? Show me," almost looking at the child's stomach contents. I want to see. I bought you this muesli. Next time you put on the Zoom thing, I want to see that level come down. I don't think this is not support. It is enabling behavior. It is not support, because you cannot live this person's life for her. However much you are invested in and have bought into the fact that she's doing good or important or creditable, or work that makes you proud, or which is work that is to her liking, however much that is true. But it is important to step back and look at the long-term impact of this safety netting every time this happens. But for that, then we have to develop the nerve to let her, drop a semester, let her meaning watch her dropping a semester. And then another way to support but not get sort of hijacked is to also not appear, not land up, or not send those tickets and airlift her and bring her back. Let her sit here for 3 months. I'll look after her. Now you just concentrate on your work. I will, dance around you and provide you all the food. Why is this not good? I'm not saying in principle. I'm saying not sustainable. They're not sustainable. You are, in a way, turning your child lame, because who else is going to do this for her, firstly? Are you going to do this all your life? And basically, you're hobbling this person, you're making her langra. कि ये सब मुझे नहीं जमता है. This my only my parents. I outsource it. I outsource my very simple self-care routines. I outsource them. I think you're programming your child to fail. By not clearly setting boundaries yourself. When a child is small, of course, the boundaries are very, very low, the borders and boundary. But at this age and at this stage, and when it's troubling you, I think one of the big ones is to set up boundaries. I feel that the more comfortable thing is to not spell out those boundaries. So set clear boundaries in terms of not be available on the phone all the time, not jump from crisis to crisis, not drop everything you're doing because her call has come. Then part of the boundaries is perhaps suggesting she sees a campus counselor, or wherever she lives, a counselor, somebody else will help her through this, and not an enabling parent. Because a counselor will not be an enabler. A counselor will treat her as an adult and expect that she will treat herself as an adult. So one of the suggestions in setting boundaries is to say that, I think maybe a counselor needs to help you with this part of it. Instead of, I think it's no point to be tired and say, I've told you, why will you not do this? Why don't you try a simple that I'm saying? Try sleeping early. This is all turned into mental chewing gum for this young woman. She can just hear it. And in fact, when it gets too much, she says, stop lecturing me. So it's lose for everybody involved. But if you can suggest that I think you need a life coach, counselor kind of person through this phase, not in life in general, through this phase that's going on, where you are, in a way, jhatko, in Marathi we call it jhatkoing. You're saying, it's not my job. I can't do it. I can't do this. I'm not the right person for this. You need to find the right person for this. Because entitled adults often expect their parents to rescue them from the consequences of all their decisions. Entitled young people, they do often expect that the adult will throw me a lifeline. And will don't lecture. When you say, it means you're saying, don't make the connection between my decisions and the consequences and what you were telling me to do. Don't make I don't want it. It's like actually a tantrum mode where a child does this and says, ah, when you're trying to make her speak, listen. This is the equivalent of that, and should not be enabled. It's important, of course, when you're stepping back and deciding not to enable this, not to repeat the pattern, because the pattern you've done and it has not worked. So, to be able to give emotional support appropriately. Okay, don't lecture, don't repeat all the things you've said many times. And emotional support can be in a very, oh, what a pain, like an outsider does, like a friend will do. My God, you're really caught up in this thing, huh? I hope you'll find the right way to get out of this. But making it clear that I will, come on, I'm your coach. See, I'm standing here, hold my hand, come out of this somehow. None of that. Like an equal, a friend may, who's not taking over your life, may help you with empathy, sympathy, but not rushing into rescue. This is important, I think. And I feel with that, you will also stop enabling her from making more perpetuating these bad choices. It's important too for seniors to preserve their own emotional, of course, but financial well-being also. How much will you also underwrite some of this stuff? It's not easy, and it's not a joke to, because somebody has misplanned their lives on short notice in the thick of some very expensive travel season, to just airlift your daughter from America or Europe in this case and bring her here. Keep an eye on your own part of the boundaries without saying it to her. I can't afford this anymore. I will not spend $1. I don't think it should be said. But for you first to accept that I will only spend this much money on this rescue mission from now on. I know some mothers who go into foreign countries and see nothing because they decided to stay 6 weeks and cook 6 months of stuff for their son and pack it into or daughter into the fridge and come away. All of this is, I think it's very wrongly labeled as support. It is not support, it is enabling. What other stuff that, you're feeling now? Obviously, she's feeling trapped. This couple is feeling trapped in this situation because you've now got trapped in the bad decisions that are being made regularly. Why are you trapped? Because you bought into the young person's idea that just see me through this, yeah, then I'll be fine. While you are standing outside and seeing the pattern and saying, this is not going to serve you well. So you'll be really helping your child by not helping in such, where you have to almost ask yourself, am I hindering my grown child's independence now? I'm actually hindering the independence by jumping into these scenarios like this. I'm sure it doesn't start like that. It happens slowly. You feel just now. This is just now. She's in a bind. Just now I'll do this. But if this is a pattern that's emerging, where the parents are feeling beleaguered almost, and they almost feel that the tone we have is that my words don't count for anything. My words don't count for anything. And yet, my landing up there and bailing her out is expected. It is not a fair arrangement. It's okay when children are small. We grow up with children, and even when we have small children, I sometimes feel this is very unfair, man. You'll throw the tantrums. I have to run and see to it that you don't play with fire, and yet you shout at me because I took the knife out of your hand. It's all fine when a being is a young life is experiencing life and growing. And yes, you have committed as a parent to be the safety net. not for a 37-year-old child. People do fear that others will judge them badly. Because around you, you may be seeing other parents in the same trap who are running around and just on rescue missions. And you may feel that I will be judged badly. What were you doing when your daughter was having a physical or mental breakdown? What were you doing? I think that trap is not is you have to be very careful about not now doing it as a performance to other parents that no, I'm also running, I'm also sending dabbas, I'm also going and cooking or whatever it is that it takes. So I would put it as moving from enabling to empowering. It may not look like you're empowering her by suddenly becoming distracted or saying, oh, next 3 days, we are going on a small holiday, won't be on the phone, so that you're not at the other end of the tap all the time. But it is empowering and more effective. There's another aspect that I'm sure they are facing, that you also feel that you're helping your children because they are in some situations which are beyond their control. But in this case, it is not. She may make it appear as, what can I do? Yeah, I have this deadline. I don't have time to even put on the cooker. It sounds as if it's a challenge that can't be controlled. But in this particular case, it involves slowly unlearning the behavior that she's currently falling back on, unlearning it and seeding into her life just an ordinary mortals uh, uh, things that people need to do to live a balanced life. Is enabling adult children common? You will wonder, people listening, is this common? It is very common. It is very common. And as I said, it's just one fine day you're on that treadmill of enabling them. It starts maybe with small things and just, fishing them out of the water for some little thing. But it is very common and it is very damaging to both parties concerned. On top of it, that there are many, many children, like I suspect also their daughter, who are not even terribly grateful about this because they are whirling so much about with their own problems that there isn't even a step back and saying, wow, I have really pushed my parents to drop everything else, their own well-being, and run after me. So it might be quite a thankless task. When your children are small and learning how to live life, we accept that many things are thankless. But now, as seniors ourselves, with middle-aged children, I don't think one should accept this as part of the package of parenting. What else? I had scribbled something about. Yeah. You remember the earlier one we had where the person, he had come away from a divorce and from losing his job in a foreign country and had sort of crash landed in his parents' house, and they were facing some of this stuff. He was living like a bachelor boy, at the age of 47, and doing nothing in the house, not offering to pay money, and they were so nervous about how do we bring this up. But you bring it up by again feel that if you are the kind who feels you can confront, sit and say, I want to talk about this is not working for me, pal. But if you think that at the other end of things is a volatile young woman who will turn that into the problem now, you saying no. I think that no should be done internally, by first internally accepting what time, what energies, what money, and how much energy in repeating some of the life lessons. By now, I think we should know that, somebody 37-year-old is not paying heed, is not ignoring your advice because she hasn't got it. She's invested in ignoring it. It's too much hard work for her. But if you are going to be the shadow personality that completes it for her and does it for her, telling yourself only now, just now, I'm doing this just now. till she gets that Nobel Prize or whatever it is that she thinks or you think she's going to get. Not going to happen. Your every step is enabling the next further. This is not a stopgap. It's you're enabling a more lifestyle choices which involve neglecting the self and expecting grown parents to bail you out. Important to not panic over their emergencies, what they manifest as emergency. Important not to panic. Even if you hear that she's, I pulled an all-nighter and I worked so hard and I forgot to have my milk and then I fainted in the class. And the empathetic, very easy for me to say, not easy to do, I know this. The empathetic things to say is you must seek out, your whatever the health arrangement is there. I hope you went to this, I hope you went to that, where you have to surprise this child by not fretting and wringing your hands and taking on that outsourced anxiety and fear and attention that she's maybe even seeking, not taking it on and you getting on to the, the dispensary or whatever they call it in wherever she's studying and saying, can somebody go? A lot of parents do that. They'll co-opt friends and relatives in that country and say, will you go look her up? Will you make her a dabba? Will you take her this thing, call her for a meal, wake her up early, see that she comes out? Will you take her out for a walk? You're doing nobody a favor by being this kind of so-called life coach to a grown young person. You need to have the nerves to steadfastly repeat what you believe will help herself, not actually go and help herself. So, where she doesn't then get to outsource her self-care. You can go on saying it as if, have the nerves to say it as if it cannot be, how long have I been telling you you must have breakfast or whatever. But to just without any boredom have a checklist saying, had breakfast? No, didn't have. Oh, acha, maybe you could try having breakfast. You have to demonstratively be outside of the picture and not getting wrapped around this person's finger. I don't know if I'm coming across as being very unsympathetic and telling seniors, but I am telling seniors, it is your time now. It is your time to conserve your own energies. And this extreme feeling of helplessness and frustration will do no senior citizen any good. This we have to remember. On top of it, it will not do your grown child any good. I think this is something that once I would tell Hari and Dilnaz that they have to sit and internalize this themselves. Then the way they approach her, the way they take every phone call, how much they track her, what kind of help they are willing to, overextend themselves to give. All of it will come into perspective. I don't think senior citizens should be in a position where people are taking them for granted, even their own flesh and blood, taking them for granted to such an extent that there is never a sorry or a thank you, or any demonstration that I did this badly last time and I involved you guys, and thank you and sorry. And I will take away something from this and maybe change things. As long as you keep hearing the excuses and allowing this young woman to make it as if, no, today's circumstances are different. Today I need to do this. Today my coursework demands that I, neglect my food or sleep or hygiene or exercise. Today. There's no day on which this is non-negotiable. For you to know this, for her, whether she accepts it not or learns it the hard way or never learns it is different. But for you to know that this is a non-negotiable. And I have given my child enough stuff to help her to dip into all these resources, whatever you've taught your children about, of self-care, various resources involving self-care. It's very important. One last point is this, to stop blaming yourself. I have a deep suspicion that this letter comes from people who are feeling we've done something wrong. Yeah, we've done something wrong. How do we make this right for this kid? We've done something wrong. Blaming themselves, or this sort of slightly guilty. You're retired. You're having a decent time. All the stuff you planned for, the money you get, it's there. By all parameters, it's your time now, the senior couple's time now. But there is that guilt. My child is unhappy, and so you kind of get just you know drowned in this thing of saying, no, I have to be there for my child. I have to be there. And it if you step back, I think, if a person, they have seen from the letter, I understand they have seen the pattern. There is a pattern. It isn't just random difficult things that are happening to this child, which do happen. Many people go through random difficult times. But for us as senior, as parents, to discern, this is some horrible bad luck thing that's happened, or this is just a lifestyle choice which will only open up more and more and more rocky roads for my child. Very important to sit back and see this without feeling guilty, without blaming yourself, without blaming that child, and without overthinking what will be the meaning of me reducing my exposure to this, without overthinking it. To accept first, I need to reduce my exposure to the situation. To accept that I need to reduce, for me to even to last your child longer, to be there in a happier way, in better times, would involve reeling back what you're doing now for this child. This, how you listen and how you communicate now, from now on, maybe would be important to just calmly listen and not rush in with solutions, not rush in with frustrated sounding responses, because then that enables that person to not be frustrated with their situation, outsources it to you. My mother's worrying for me. My mother's frustrated for me. And do not have panic responses where you are then, raising all the alarm bells that you have set in place to help her. Very important to listen empathetically, sympathize also, but it's as if you sympathized with somebody who, even when a child falls, when a small child falls, of course we rush and pick her up, but we accept that she is having to go through that pain, that her skin is torn. It's not, your skin has not torn. It is that child's skin which is torn. And at the most, you may wash and teach her how to look after a cut. At the most, I think. Even when they're so small, we are on that path of teaching self-care. But at 37, that is now the onus is on the parent very much to teach that level of self-care. None of the, when children are small, you are at least witnessing growth. You're witnessing daily changes. You're witnessing a learning curve of bad decisions. But it's very forward-looking, because a certain life is unfurling, opening up, and you are part of that process. But I would warn anyone in this situation that to parents of a difficult, somebody's used this phrase, difficult adult child, DAC, difficult adult child. Parents of a difficult adult child will feel trapped in that child's despair and bad decisions. You just get co-opted into it, and it's very important to not get pulled into that and view it. I'm not going to use the word dispassionately, because you can't with children, but view it with a certain detachment, where you don't feel that you have fallen and bruised your knees. Your child is falling and bruising her knees, and she has to very much learn that just go to the tap and run water over it cannot be something that she just says, I won't do it, and then says, don't lecture. I think as seniors, we owe it to ourselves. We really owe it to ourselves to not have a gun held to our head to put it very plainly, by our children's decisions, grown children's decisions. You can't be going through life with that one thing always on your head, that if I only extend myself this much, money, time, energy, travel, this much if I do, I'll set this person right. If you're seeing a pattern that it's not just a one-off problem, then you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your child to uh, to not do this band-aid. This is going on. This is sort of very heavy-duty band-aid solutions that are going on, and they must stop. My one last thing is that I think it's important to do it subtly, so that if this is a slightly overwrought young woman, you don't change the discourse to now fighting about how you guys are not supporting me. Just do not allow drama. Do not allow the drama to creep in, is what I would say. Yeah. Anything anybody else wants to add to this? Please feel free to contribute to this thing. As I said, sometimes the person who writes the question is listening on the YouTube channel. Always valuable when not just me, but other participants have something to say. Always valuable to people. If anybody has anything to contribute.
And I think,
yes, Smita, yes.
Ultimately, it's a decision taken by the child, right?
Yeah.
Like the parents have not sent her to do her PhD or anything. It's something she's done on her own. So
yes,
to that extent, she's got to take the responsibility for that.
Yeah. And I think it's important. They must have finished saying it to her in some form or the other. Now maybe it's time to not put it in words, but
Right.
put it in the actions that you take for yourself. Well, if that child notices, then slowly, there may be a tantrum, there may not be. But don't make it so easy where, you're just laying yourself out thin and she's walking over you. You know, uh, most being responsible for another person well into their 30s is not what any parent imagines. However much they love parenting, however good they are at it, nobody really wants to do that. I mean, unless it is, of course, the codependence kind of relationships where you want to be needed and that child wants to need you, and that's diseased situation. But in a healthy, normal parent-child thing, most parents are happy to see them, going on their own paths. May not agree with all their decisions, but are definitely not standing there to all the time catch when you fall. But I still feel that one has to be a little clever, if I can use the word, in when you start withdrawing what you're offering, when you start withdrawing it, to not make it a tantrum and not turn it into a whole separate stage opening up for parent-child drama. To just be, just lead your life, and for that you'll have to, she and Naz and Hari will have to think of which of these things they want to continue and which of these things they want to really shut her down and how they'll do it. That's important. Rinal, were you saying something?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Nothing. I was just thinking, I very often, I mean, even as a parent, even I must have gone through it, not recently, but in the same times when my daughters were in their late 30s or say, early 40s or so.
Okay.
That they tend to I mean, I feel the children tend to forget when they want their mother to be their friend and when they want her to be the mother.
Full on mother.
Yeah, a full on mother.
Yeah.
And very often they do take us for granted, and they think that, when I feel, I mean, when she feels, my daughter feels that this is the time when I want my mom to be my mom. But the very next point of discussion may be, but I'm capable of taking my own decision. And then she's looking for a friend
Mm.
in that same woman.
Yes,
And
same person.
that
Yeah.
sometimes becomes difficult for the mother to realize that, Arey, but right now I was telling you something which is for your good, and
Yeah.
now you want me to be your equal. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that balance is something which is difficult to find
To
often.
find, to find, and
Not always easy. Yeah.
maybe to recognize that,
Yeah.
that this is sometimes a very much a matter of convenience
Huh.
with which it's used, where so for yourself to not also get jerked around by that. Where
Yeah.
you realize that, huh?
And I think they also tend to, I mean, they never, children are children, no matter what age they are, they
Yes,
will take their parents for granted. They
yes,
will want them to be of use to them when they really need them to be as parents,
yeah, yeah,
and not interfere at other times when it's their own decision.
that,
So
that's right. Yeah,
most of the times I think that goes on. I mean, I
yeah,
don't know, I have yet to see a relationship where you know children have suddenly realized that, okay, now we are equals, now I don't
yeah,
need a mother,
yeah,
but at the same time I'm not going to bother her,
yeah,
and I don't want her to make anything special for me, food for
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think, does that really happen? I
No,
wonder if
no,
it
no,
always
not
happens.
at not as a complete. I don't think it happens as a complete changed equation,
Hmm.
but definitely I think as people mature, they
Hmm.
learn not to. They learn to put some filters,
Hmm.
something
Hmm. Hmm.
that
Hmm.
this thing I think I'm trying my mother too high.
Hmm.
Even something as simple as wanting your mother to come across the country to babysit your children because you want to go for a conference. Say.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that I'm watching amongst my uh, friends, where unless of course the mother is all the time ready, "Okay, I'll come at the drop of a one you just ek ishara pe I will come." If
Hmm.
they recognize that their mother has a life going on, other stuff going on,
Hmm.
it's not easy to drop and just run. Take
Hmm.
your time and then put filters where for
Hmm.
this maybe I will call my mother, but for this I will just lump it and get a nanny or whatever. And this is just an example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where किंवा आईला as in Marathi आजकाल आईला जमत नाही to accept that
Hmm.
my mother can't even if she wants to. Even that
Hmm.
is a big realization to work.
Hmm. Hmm.
I do hear a lot of resentment from younger people when they're quite a bit I hear when their parents say no 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 this month I'm not there. I can't be because I have decided to go with my women friends on a trek. Suppose
Huh. Huh.
I find that they may in their head accept that, yeah, my mother must have her own life and it's good for her. But there is a certain, are you're leading your
Uh,
own life, you're leading your own life, kind of, surprised resentment
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, I agree. I think that also happens more when the children are settled in the Western countries.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They
Yeah,
definitely expect their parents to drop everything they may be
yeah.
doing, or, and
Yes,
go there either for the grandchildren's sake or
yes,
balanpan karaila,
yeah,
or
yeah.
anything when the child
All
is
of
being
that.
born,
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
the couple wants to go somewhere and the
Yes,
grandchildren
yes,
cannot be left alone in the
yes.
house. Certain
Go
countries'
there.
rules.
Yeah,
And then the grandparents are dropping everything and they are not really happy being in those countries because people
correct.
our
Correct.
age
Yeah.
are not used to that kind of lifestyle anymore.
Isolation and all of that stuff.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are
a lot
so
of it.
used to having somebody coming for some help.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
can't,
yeah,
physically, we can't take it.
yeah.
Emotionally,
Or
to
even
forget.
now, just
Hmm.
get out and take out your car and go to a friend's house, which you
Hmm.
will not
Hmm.
do in a
Hmm.
left-hand drive country so easily.
True. Hmm.
Though the other day I had a strange conversation with somebody here. We had done a session on the same thing, on being, on retired people near retirement, very shocked that their children have already decided next 2 years how they're going to be deployed here and there looking after babies and all this. And the person being a bit shocked, saying that, I've just turned 62. These are my next 5 healthy, really solid years. And I want to, do my bird watching or whatever it is. somebody downstairs here where I live who was listening in on the session very angrily said, no, we don't have any right to say that when we turn 85 and 95, these children who will have to drop everything and come for us. So now we have to do this. That
Mm.
Oh
negotiation ahead.
gosh.
Mm.
Very transactional, very
Mm.
transactional.
Mhm.
So I don't completely agree with that, but that was one way of looking at it. Saying that no, you have to swallow whatever your plans were and you have to stand by them because ultimately they'll drop what they're doing. I don't know, will they? We don't know whether they'll drop everything and come. So, yeah. I'll just,
Okay.
what, Sunita?
No, that's one angle I didn't think of.
Ha, ha.
That when I'm 75 or 80, my son will have to come running to look after me. And so I better be available for everything he wants.
I don't think really it's not such a transactional thing. There are children who will come running to you whether you did anything for them or not. And there are
Correct.
people who will just say, no, I'm in the thick of my career growth chart. I can't come, you know, get
Yeah.
somebody to, again, outsource that to somebody else. So this one last thing, I've deliberately introduced the word enabling. Usually the word
Mm.
enabling is used for addictions, how you're enabling somebody to go and continue on their addiction. But I've introduced this word here today about enabling young people to not take responsibility for their lives by rushing in with solutions and as you're saying, Rinal, where they seem to be in that position where they are saying, but you know, I have to rescue you, but in that I'm your friend. But if I give you advice, you're telling me don't lecture. Then I'm suddenly an elder in this particular lady's case, this thing. So I think it's important for you to feel. I don't think this young woman should be calling the shots on labeling these people's responses. It's you.
Mm.
No, she's labeling this. One is lecturing, and one is my mother was there for me. Say. So it's best to quietly behind the scenes decide how much you will, uh, what you're willing to do. And for that, I think husband and wife have to actually come up with some kind of checklist of what they can and can't do. And the hint that they will not be able to come through like this must be given in peace times, not when there's a crisis going on. But making it clear what stuff you're willing to do and not do now. And you could be artistic about it and say, I can't now. I don't want to undertake a 6-hour journey or in a plane or a 12-hour or whatever. Or in this month, I promise to myself that I'm going to do X thing. Won't be there. Give enough notice, which also might help this young woman
Mm.
to um, calculate this. I won't
Yeah.
be able to sort of pull it that time.
I have managed to do so with my girls as
Ah,
far as it comes to dog sitting. I said
acha.
I will not be able to do it. We cannot do that anymore.
Okay.
Looking after our daughter's dogs, I said
Ah,
no, that is something we can't do
okay.
because taking them 3, 4 times a day for a walk and
Yeah. Yeah.
bending down and putting the bell, anything, I mean, anything to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
dog, pick up their dog poop, etc.
Yes.
We are not,
Yes.
and I have looked after a dog practically for more than 40, 45 years, but not anymore.
Correct.
This is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I wish to go out, then I'll just shut the door of my house
Huh.
and go without thinking of a dog.
Of a creature. Correct.
Though we
Correct.
love them, we still love them. I mean, if
Of
I see,
course. Of
yeah,
course.
we still
Yeah.
love them. But
But you're not
looking
up
after
for
them
it.
physically, no. And they have accepted that
Yeah.
no more. Yeah,
They'll have to make other arrangements.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thankfully, there are dog hostels now.
Yes. Also. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But I feel, see, this is an important sur to approach,
Mm.
a note to find where you find that note. We're saying no without turning it into any kind of unpleasantness. Just
No
I
guilt
can't.
there.
Not I won't,
No
I
guilt.
can't. I
Yeah,
think this
yeah.
I won't is what gets their backs up,
Ah,
and but to be
yeah.
able to say I can't, yeah, I need.
Mm.
Safe place.
Yeah.
You're not throwing principles at them. In principle, how are you, expecting me to come and pick you up when you've not eaten for 8 days? No, in principle, I can't. I can't. I think that will help this young woman take much more charge of physical
Yeah.
well-being. No?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a bit much, though. When I heard that, I said,
Yeah.
"Oh my God."
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
There is some kind of I see it with a lot of so-called brainy children.
Mm-hmm.
You've been a topper, you've been a this, you've been a that, then your parents haven't expected you to do anything for say grandparents. नहीं उस त्याची 10वी है, त्याची 12वी है, त्याचं
Mm.
your engineering है, because this is the star person.
Mm.
Slowly not teaching them ordinary life skills.
Mm.
I'm not saying Dilnaz and Hari have done that. I'm saying, but this could be part of it. So you do have a bright child, and the whole household starts aligning itself around this person's achievements and careers. Instead of being teaching them how to be an ordinary mortal who can fix themselves a cup of, Horlicks in the morning. Horlicks,
Yeah.
if not Horlicks, whatever the thing is in that country where they live. Yeah, yeah.
But that's hardly the case, no? Whenever you have a kind of genius child, you're all so much about that particular talent
Yeah.
that everything else is just
Yeah.
ignored, na?
Life skills, and which is a big disservice, because at some stage those life skills are going to come up and face this person. However
Yes.
they
True,
are a
true.
camp anywhere. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, tomorrow, next week's thing, let me announce. Anyone else has anything else to say, please feel free. Yeah. Next week, the question is based on this theme, which is that different people grieve very differently in a family, and there is no one right way. That's going to be
Okay.
our theme. We had a similar question of just a couple earlier, from a couple who had lost a grown child. And there was a lot of dissonance between them, because the woman was pulling her life together in a certain way, and her husband was very resentful about that, and kind of alleging that she's just moved on, and
Mhm.
that. But here it is a 2-3 people involved in the after the death of a prominent family member. But the theme is that different people grieve differently in a family, and there's no one prescribed right way that anybody should prescribe to anybody else, or judge the other's grief based on the way they grieve over something. That's what the next week.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay,
All
Shakti.
right.